Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the day's talk, Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Katame tayo dhamma pahatabba kama tanha bhava tanha vibhava tanha ti. Dear Venerables, Dhamma friends, yesterday we gave the introduction for this particular phrase, which we extracted from the Dasuththara Sutta, that is the expanding decades in number of tens, and we find it in the Digha Nikaya, the long discourses, the last sutta. It's very, very important in the sense of the epistemology, because this is the first time you find in the human history that someone has organized the knowledge and tried to find a grammar of the knowledge, that is analytical or theory about the knowledge. And Venerable Sariputta was the qualified person. He himself came out and did it in the presence of Buddha. And even before this time, there were a lot of knowledge and belongs to different traditions, Ajivakas and Brahmanas and Upanishad. But they were, it's just accumulation of knowledge, but there are no sequential order. It was not pragmatically presented in one after the other in such a way. So there were a huge amount of knowledge, but no ascending order or descending order or expanding order, nothing. And and if you come back to the amount of knowledge, what we call belongs to the Theravada tradition or what the Buddha taught, they also happen in a quite an haphazard way. The Buddha used to go to different place and give some talk and come back. That's it. And no one is accumulating them. And after 20 years only, Venerable Ananda started, just like this voice recorder, starting recording them. I mean, remembering them. At least the topic. So imagine 20 years before, they were very short, very sweet, very strong suttas. The people came to the Buddha was with high potential, and they gave the gist of Dhamma and they enlightened, and only the names were there. And then Venerable Ananda took so much of pain and put a condition to Buddha, Bhante, I will assist you under one condition. Of course there were 10 conditions. One of them was, wherever you go, whatever the Dhamma you talk, evening you have to repeat. Because I am in the process of accumulating. But Venerable Ananda was not in a position to gauge them. He is just accumulating, just like recording, not edited. Venerable Sariputta instance, instead, he was the army general like, he's a general for the Dhamma, and his mind was so analytical, and he put it in a categorical order, in a tabulated form or in a graphic form. And this is the first time you find the epistemological order in the knowledge. And when you study this Dasuththara Sutta, start with 10 questions and 10 answers. It is single fold. Second book is 10 questions, the same questions, and the answers in double fold. And in the third book, same questions, answering in threefold. Fourth book is same question, answering in the fourfold. 5-fold, 6-fold, 7-fold, up to the 10. So when you draw a chart with the 10 by 10, and you can fill it everything, and very nicely ordered, and it is leading. And starting the sutta, Venerable Maha Sariputta is telling, Dasuththara pavakkami pattum nibbana patya. I will tell you, I proclaim you the way of presentation, and it is starting from simple ABCD and go to the Nibbana. So therefore it is directed, adverted into one way pragmatically. The very historically enough, very interesting, just before the Dasuththara Sutta, this is Sutta number 32, 31, Sangiti Sutta, and they are also, when Sariputta accumulating number of presentation with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it is not limited to 10. This goes beyond 10, and each and every book is not limited to 10, and that is the way he accumulated everything. And that gave a kind of a hint when the Buddha, after the great demise, what the other disciple must do, they must get together and see whether this body of knowledge is complete or not. That is what you call the first synod. They got together 500 fully fledged Arahant, and at that time Venerable Sariputta was no more. He passed away before the Buddha. And what he did was accumulated everything quite an unorganized way. Sutta number 31. Sangiti Sutta, accumulation of knowledge. Sutta number 32, accumulated in order to, leading to Nibbana. So therefore you can understand knowledge is one thing, other thing is the organization of the knowledge. The grammar of the knowledge is a completely different thing. Today in information technology, we have so much of information, people are so much scattered. They don't know which one to start and where to lead and what is the sequence. Therefore, knowledge became a problem. Knowledge is an answer, of course, but once it is disciplined, once it is directed, then only knowledge becomes useful, pragmatic and practical. But today when you go to a university, go to a library, any kind of knowledge you have, but there's no lead, there's no lead to the lack of suffering, lack of frustration, lack of tension. It is ever increasing tension. So please try to understand, it is not the matter of knowledge, it is matter of pragmatic order of the knowledge, starting from one after the other. The Buddha himself mentioned it. Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. Your training or restraint must be one after the other. Starting with very subtle, obvious thing, and then go deep and deep. Anupubba Kiriya, your practical, pragmatic part, also starting with something possible, something available, and gradually you see it is becoming more and more growing and diversified. Anupubba Patipada, the way the Buddha presented, it is in such a way, and Venerable Sariputta did a marvelous job in orderly manner presenting this Dasuththara Sutta. So, if you happen to read it, this Dasuththara is happening in the long discourse, it's fairly long, and you see if something wrong or something missing, by looking at the chart you can guess. This is what it is, guessing, missing, because before, after, above, below, everything available. If the cage is free, blank, you can guess. That is how this 2600 years it came. And up to the date, up to today, it is complete. So it's coming as a gist of Dhamma. The topics are there, so you can't go for such big explanation. But for explanation you have to look into the other suttas. There are 15,000 or more than 15,000 discourses, this discourse gives the key or content. So therefore, this is the first time in the human history the discipline of the knowledge or theory of knowledge or epistemology came into being. So therefore, this, the idea that I am giving, I am expressing, may not be directly related to your meditation, may not be directly related to your free of suffering, maybe only directly related to your lack of reduction of the tension or frustration. But when and where you wish to give the message to another person, another suffering person, another person with tension, you must understand the knowledge must be presented in a pragmatic way, practical way. If you miss the point, then you are misusing the knowledge. It will increase the tension instead. It will increase the frustration instead. Today, so much of books, so much of sermons, so much of people, but by looking at overall, you can see they are meddling with knowledge, but it is not leading. If it is leading, it is palatable, it is measurable, it is verifiable. You go by tension to lack of tension, frustration to lack of frustration, and day by day the relaxation must be there. There is no another person to come and tell that you are progressing. There is no another gadget or multimeter to pull it to and see that whether you are so or no sakadagami. Nonsense. This is how knowledge happening. So therefore you must have the respect or memorizing capacity of the knowledge, but that is not enough. You must have the sequential order, that is how the Patipada came into being. Patipada means your enlightenment never happened overnight. Number of episodes. One is above another, and when it is happening, it's increasing its potentiality. So therefore you must be very patient. By listening to one talk or sitting on one sitting, you cannot get enlightened. Because your accumulation of defilement happens so much of time, eons of time. How can you reduce it by one shot? Reduce it by overnight? No. That is the profundity. So therefore you must be very patient. And knowledge also must be there, orderly manner also there. So to make it pragmatic, I would say, the answer in a retreat like this, we try to give mindfulness. That is the one and only way. How do you know now you are mindful? Becoming mindful is one aspect, and verifying, yes, now I am mindful, it's a completely different thing. That is what we call verification. The Buddhism or the teaching of the Buddha is the only thing the Buddha gives you can verify here and now, not after the death, not the God, not another person. You are verifying. Verifying because first you try to be mindful. You learn it theoretically and take an effort. And one day you all of a sudden feel something happened. I don't know. Is it mindfulness? The day you be mindful as well as aware of your mindfulness, then onward you are going to get the benefit. Then onward you are endowed with the relaxation, reduction of the frustration. But if you do not know it is the mindfulness, may or may not be. And that mindfulness also, the starting mindfulness, we can say the bare attention, it is evolving in 8 times, one after the other, and the last one is the one have the potential to give some liberation or emancipation. So therefore starting mindfulness is very, very baby type, very, very soft, very, very tender, and that also verifiable. And then that mindfulness is evolving until when it comes up to the Samma Sati, that means a broader way of mindfulness or correct mindfulness, right mindfulness. So not only the mindfulness, the shades of meanings of the different mindfulness, that is also something verifiable. So therefore one day you have to start somewhere. And that starting point is not the last high potent mindfulness. It is just like a liquid food for a baby. And with that food only, growing, ultimately you get the solid and you can go for high protein. But when you mature only, when your digestive system become hard and fast only, you can go for hard food, high potential food. So likewise it is happening. So therefore, understand this Dasuththara Sutta. Very interesting, we are talking only one fraction of it. We are now in the book of 3. We are understanding what are the things you have to gotten rid of. Pahatabba, and single answer. If you take from the other suttas, tanha, craving. And here it gives 3 types. Craving itself is giving kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. This is the way the Buddha handle it in a scientific way. You know, tanha, the craving, is the cause, proximate cause or single cause for the suffering. And therefore you may understand how difficult one to understand the craving and to get rid of craving. So therefore many people, even if they know I am suffering due to my own craving, they think it is difficult, impossible, so they will not take it as a challenge. It is such a big task. But there may be some other people, if you can dilute it, if you can reduce it, if you can make it palatable, sizable, then we can start somewhere. That is how the Buddha, the whole chunk of tanha, cut into kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. That means sensuous pleasure. And when you go to the Western psychology, Sigmund Freud told, only single reason we can explain the whole behavior of the human being: sex. Sexual behavior. It is the whole life. And towards the latter part of his life, he of course came out with other kind of thing, but the Buddha reduced it to sensuous pleasure, not the sexual pleasure. You have pleasure in seeing beautiful things, hearing beautiful sounds, and smelling, tasting, touching, other tactile sensation or food or smell, and the mind with your pet ideas. So, sensuous pleasure, we can understand it is, I am not an expert on that, you people are quite expert about the colors and shapes, and about the sounds and musics, about the taste and food and everything, but I am quoting from the Buddha. I am telling that kama tanha itself, the sensuous pleasure, is in 6 modes. The kama tanha in the eye, to see visual objects, shapes and colors. And the kama tanha on the ear, to listen to the lovable music and your desirable sounds. And the smell, and the taste, and the touch, and the pet ideas. So now it is kama tanha is 6-fold, bhava tanha is 6-fold, vibhava tanha is 6-fold, 18-fold. So now you have a huge area. You have 18 access points, whichever may be digestible, whichever you find pragmatic, practical, you can have an access. So therefore now the subject of tanha, or it is, we can say, mental concomitant or mind aspect, and it has kama, bhava, vibhava, the craving for sense pleasure, the craving for becoming, or craving for non-becoming. And visual object itself sometimes contribute to your sense pleasure, visual object. And sometimes the visual objects you think about for your existence, for your family existence, for your religious existence, for your country existence, whatever may be, and they are, even if it is not beautiful to your eye, you keep on because you know it is going to give something. It is, you can become someone out of these sounds, Or if you hate it, you plan to kill it, destroy it. And that is how Kama Tanha, Bhava Tanha, Vibhava Tanha with respect to the visual objects happen. Exactly with the sounds. So whenever it is 18 facets, each and everyone can be an opening gateway, but naturally speaking, or in a common sense, the sense pleasure is the normally presented it as the starting point. Whatever may be, what we are go for sensuous indulgence and craving for seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching and thinking. So we can see we human as a being, everyone is chasing behind the pleasure principle. Everyone wish to have a good to see, something good to see, good to hear, smell, taste, touch and pet ideas. And that indicates by selecting one what you call desirable or delightful or liking, you hate undesirable, undelightful. So therefore you never accept the holistic, you never accept the thing as such. You have this is liking and this is dislike, and selecting liking, invariably you are rejecting dislike, undelightful thing. So this is the point, you become judgmental, you have to suffer. Instead, if you can look at it as it is, without being judgmental or choiceless awareness, this is liking, this is dislike, but instead this is the way it is happening, that is what we call the developed mind. That's what we call the mindful mind. That's why we call the maturity in our meditation. So we have to understand, as a beginner, we are not so mature. So when and where visual object happens, or visual object avenue to your eye, or face to face to your eye, seeing never goes without liking and disliking. Only a camera can see without liking and disliking. But you see, camera never gets sotapanna. Camera never become enlightened. And this voice recorder, it really grasps the sound, but without liking and disliking. And this mic, also listening 155 retreats, still not enlightened. Still not enlightened. So therefore you have to understand it's possible. For example, someone is coming here, he who do not know English, they can listen, but won't make any liking and disliking. And some of you may come to the single retreat, you may listen, it won't make any silence, liking and disliking. What happened? You never come. You come here because you like it. So this is the attraction. You never come. If it is not addressing to the liking and disliking, you go away. It is no more interested in. So you can see each and every thing we are observing and seeing, it is always must be titillated with or catalytic effect to stimulate liking and disliking, and that is the point. In the slightest form, you must be careful or you must be mindful to why I am attracted to that particular shape and that particular color. Not that color and the shape is suggesting you, but your conditioned mind, the sensuous pleasure, is giving kind of a urge, giving kind of a push to that particular shape and that particular color. And instead of chasing behind and grabbing hold it and hug it, the Buddha says, just see when and where you are being delighted with some shape, some color with liking, Instead of chasing behind that particular thing, see the change in your mind. Before seeing that, there were no such urge. There is no such appointment. And when and where such an urge, appointment happen, it's often leading to the disappointment and ultimately unachieved discouragement happen. So if you can see, when and where seeing happens, how something get attracted and something is not attracted, and how much you are magnetized to the likable and thing which is delighted. And rather than chasing behind to acquire it, if you can observe it, if you can see then and there how it is happening, that is for that kind of a reflection, for that kind of a observation, the mindfulness is the tool. So therefore the Kama Tanha, Bhava Tanha, Vibhava Tanha, all the three different gradations is there, but if you are mindful, you can understand how much you have been pulled, how much you have been magnetized to particular color, particular shape, or particular sound, or particular smell, taste, touch, or particular pet ideas. So therefore the Buddha, it says in Pramana Sutta, he says the world has three criterion they use in sizing something or gauging something. Rupa Pramana, Gosa Pramana, Luka Pramana. Rupa Pramana means if the appearance is good, people get attracted. They don't wait to see whether the content is good or bad. That is how the pharmaceutical industry is running the world today. They know. They know how to make the epidermis attractive, and then you can sell anything. This is it's a very famous thing. One of the detrimental trends in the world, drug industry, pharmaceutical industry. They can make any grandmother as a bride too, because of the makeup. And you can see not only the face or face lifting, everything, the appearance attracted everything. So therefore it is, the Buddha says, a rule of thumb. If the appearance is good, people consider as good. And the second thing is gosa, reputation. And people, media is talking about something, and if the television is telling something, you naturally think it must be good. That is why the television is telling. That is why the advertisements are. That is why the media is chasing behind. So people never use their intuition. They will be attracted to the gosappamana, and whatever the people say, you accept it. And the lukappamana, some people attracted for the luxury, and there's another same way, the frugality. Some is very economic kind of use. That's also sometimes become attraction for something. Lucre is the frugal. You are using very little and that kind of thing. So monks and nuns are often chasing towards that. They are going to self-mortification kind of practices, because lay people are happy with that kind of mendicants, that kind of meditators or monastics. That's why just soon after the renunciation, the Buddha to be, he had 6 years, so much of self-mortification and torturing kind of thing, because this was the accepted thing among the meditators at that time. But even today, if you see, among the monks and nuns, they are utterly suffering. They think that is the way. And they do in such a way, they are so innocent. They are so honest. But they do not know Why this self-mortification happens? Lay people go for luxuries. So these are the selection criterion, and the Buddha is asking how much or what a little fraction of people think in terms of getting rid of craving. How much little in a fraction of the population think in terms of getting rid of frustration, getting rid of the tension. No one almost. They are attracted by the appearance or the reputation or luxury or the frugality or self-mortification or indulgence. So look the society at large and you can explain it, why people are behaving like that. Because the Buddha has categorized it, and you know this particular person is fit into this category, and they are maintaining it continuously. So therefore, if someone knows theoretically there are 4 ways the people are attracted to the appearance, some people are attracted to the reputation and their glory, vain glory, and their frustration, self-mortification, and how little people take any action in terms of getting rid of craving. In action to get rid of this frustration, tension, it is very, very rare. Imagine if the Buddha is not there, imagine if there is no teaching, only we will run by the appearance, face value, only we will run by the reputation, only we will run by the self-mortification kind of thing. There won't be any kind of emancipation. So therefore, when and where you perform any action, physical, verbal or mental, if you look that thing from the mindfulness point of view, you can see where the urge coming. Why you are motivated to do that. So therefore, when and where you learn tanha, you can do 18 facets. The sensuous pleasure, to see, to hear, to smell, to touch, to taste and think. Then the Buddha is telling, not directly, indirectly, if you are tackling all the 18, you will never end the experiment. That's not enough. So he suggests, shall we reduce to a workable state? Would you mind to close your eyes? Go to a forest, sit under a tree, go to a secluded place, close your eyes, because later we will tackle it. But for the moment your mind is not much disciplined, so therefore please, it is not a commandment, it is not a regimentation. Would you mind to close your eyes and close that faculty? Seeing an eye. Go to a silent place, don't worry about the sounds. So they are unlucky enough, you can't close your ear. You have to go to a silent place. And don't entertain taste and the smell. And fully being alert to the tactile sensation. So don't let the mind to think about or daydreaming, fantasizing, but let the mind to come and advert into the body and see how much tactile sensation can you maintain a bookkeeping. Can you see even the eye is not working, even the ear and hearing is not working, smelling, tasting not working, and the mind is not daydreaming, and if you focus attention to your body, so much of things are happening. So this is the starting point, because it is after long time of experimenting, the Buddha found beginner may find it is easy to deal it with the bodily tactile sensation, and it will take long time for you to understand the bodily sensitivity also 2 types, intentional what you do and what is happening to the body. For example, if you take the breath, you can breathe forcefully, or you can let the breathing happen naturally. Out of these 2, within the body itself, the Buddha is patiently asking, don't do force breathing. Don't do anything intentional, volitional, just see what is happening. That's the most difficult part. That is the most difficult thing, to understand the craving. Just keep the body and be aware what is happening in the body. And if you understand, you see, without your any volitional contribution, willful action, how much things are happening within the body. So, in particular, some specific suttas, the Buddha says, within the body also, from the technical jargon, not from the common sense, there are 4 elements happening. Heat and cold, expansion and contraction, heaviness and lightness, fluidity. These are the things happening. So, then the Buddha says, if you are going to pay attention to all the 4 elements, it is too much. It is too much for a beginner. So, out of these 4, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, if I am to use the Pali term, the Buddha suggests Vayo, the air element, because expansion, contraction. So now you see the reductionism. Out of these 18 possible ways, he reduced it to the body tactile sensation, and that is also non-volitional, non-willful thing, what is happening, and that is also in 4 categories. That is to say, the air element, fire element, water element, and the earth element. And out of that the Buddha is giving, if you listen to me, please focus only to the air element. But difficult. Because all the time air element is not the prominent thing. So that is why many, when they come into the meditation as a beginner, they go in search of breath and they get disappointed, telling, Bhante, it is not palatable, it is not sensible, so I am not a good meditator, so therefore I leave the place, because I can't get the touch of the breath. But they think that this is the starting point. But this is an example. Instead, you can sit and see in your particular personality, in this season, after taking this meal, what is present, what is conspicuous, what is prominent. And that is the starting point. And see how difficult for you to just give an account of how do you feel when you sit. Not so easy. Because that never, ever you will feel what you like. Whatever you feel in your sitting is not what you expect. It is not what you read in the book. It is not what your teacher is telling. It is not what fulfill your delight, fulfill your craving, fulfill your lust. So, to understand that, how many minutes it will take? Close your eyes and see, whatever happening is not delightful. Whatever happening is not lustful. Whatever is nothing to craving, that is why you can't report. Because you always expect something beautiful colors happen, oh beautiful this and that happen, but it never happened. The person sitting close by is always with the colors, but I did not. So it's waiting to say, Bhante can have a personal interview. I am to tell you, I meditated 16 years, no colors. And I meditated so much, I never see the breath. You see, what is lacking? Always searching. Asking is, please let me know, what did you feel? Never. You see the craving? You see the lust. You see the delight. Because you wish to tell something very positive, very attractive, and very constructive. So when you close your eyes and focus to the body, not a single person on the earth can have delight, can have lust, can have craving. So they find 1,001 reason to say, Bhante, I have nothing to explain today, I will come tomorrow for the interviews, and today my report is no good. Because it is not fulfilling your lust. It is not fulfilling your delight. But the Buddha is asking, leave aside. Can you please explain what is happening? Never. Because our mind is so conditioned on the pleasure principle. We expect something pleasurable. We expect something delightful. We expect something lustful. And whenever it is happening, even in the midnight you may come for an interview. Until you don't feel, yesterday I had so and so, this and this, and because it is very delightful. You are not meditating, still in the pleasure principle. So this is the nature. This is the nature, so therefore, theoretical understanding, and we are sitting as a group, and we are talking openly, and see, this is the truth. Without that, how can we win this battle? You have to close your eyes, go to a silent place, don't entertain smell and taste, and be aware of your body, and see what is happening. Can you say it is nothing happening? No. Existence is there. You know you are not dead. You know you are not unconscious. You know you are not sleeping. There is a signal to indicate you are living, you are not sleepy, you are awake, and you are mindful, or you are not unconscious. That part never you can put into a language. Never. But you experience here and now, never you can explain in a language. Language is possible only to explain the past, only the future, only the other people, only the other places, but here and now, never. To understand it, how much you must be innocent, how much you must be simple, humble, to say, I feel, I experience something I can't explain. That does not indicate there is no experience. Experience is there, but our language is not strong enough to tell what is happening. Last time when I was in Brisbane, and it's a 10-day retreat, of course we are slowly going into this deep matters, and our attention was to how to communicate to a younger generation, this kind of a thing, because the old people you can understand the craving and its consequences. But the younger generation kids, it is immaterial for them. Still they have no craving. They don't have frustration sometimes. They don't have tension, so why should we go for the remedies as far as they don't recognize their disease? So one lady, she told, and she's handling young children, and one day after this Satipasala concept, she asked them, just sit comfortably for 5 minutes and see what is happening. And she gave a kind of a prompt or a hint or a cursor. When and where body, you become aware of the body, the breath may happen. If it is so, it's a clear sign. It's a clear indication you are here and now. And one girl reported no breath. And the teacher told that she is very young, so she may not have received the instruction, and next day observed that lady, that young girl is sitting very calm and quiet. And of course she is meditating, and that day also went and asked, how this? I feel nothing. And the teacher was something upset, telling that see, that girl is arrogant and she is not ready to give the response, and other people, other children are writing, I feel the breath, I feel sitting, I feel rising and falling, whatever, maybe this girl. And after in the discussion I told, if you really observe the present moment, there's nothing to report. The breath is partial knowledge. Rising and falling is a partial knowledge. But your existence, you can't put into words. You would be here, What you experience, never put it to words. And that day, all of a sudden that teacher came, Bhante, that explained the situation of that young girl. She is utterly here and now. She can't explain. Because she is in the holistic system. She is here and now. She is very calm and quiet, taking part in the meditation, but she can't explain. But the teacher thought she is arrogant, she is not expressing, she is not giving the feedback and the moment the teacher understood, she told, she may be not going through the object and waiting for the disappearance of the object. Right from the beginning, she is here and now. When and where you feel it, you think it is lack of mindfulness or lack of concentration or lack of presence of the mind. So therefore you never appreciate when you are here and now. You want to have something or some object or some reflection, and you think that reflection is the here and now. But one day you may understand, without any reflection, without any object, you can feel here now I am. You can feel, I know I am not dead. I know I am not sleeping. I know I am not unconscious, but with what indication, with what object you don't know. So therefore, imagine if you are to sit very comfortably and in a relaxed way, symmetrical and balanced way, and do nothing, and try to focus your attention, even a beginner may see the wave-like action, something, it's an air element, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, or rising, falling, according, as a consequence of the in-breath and out-breath. And amidst of that, all the spikes and waves, there's a flat line going to indicate I am here. Just your being. And that never make a strike, because it is not wave-like, it is not striking, it is not eventful, it is not dramatic, but the existence is there. And that is the worst thing you are to observe, because it won't make much of a dramatic, it won't make a tanha, it won't make a delightful, it won't make lustful, it is not making craving, but that is there. Not only you see waves, there's a flat line also there. So therefore, it is not a result of your meditation. This is a human mind. So, as far as you look for dramatic thing, as far as you look for event-like thing, as far as you look for action-packed thing, your failure is there to see this flat line or datum line. And one day, whenever these waves are become settled down and you learn restraint, one day you will see the flat line also happening. It is like the canvas of the picture, but upon that the picture also there. If you get carried away by the picture, you will never see the canvas. So to understand the tanha, you must see our mind pick only delightful thing. Our mind pick only craving things. Our mind pick only lustful thing. No problem. It's okay. You have to understand it. Don't look down it. And understand it pick because it boosts your ego. It is boosting your conceit. It is boosting your craving. Not that that is the only thing available. All the thing which is not boosting your craving, it is not boosting your egotistic idea, not boosting your conceit, you never see as if. They are there, it won't make dramatic. So therefore you have to understand, even when you are listening to the others, you must understand, he or she is emphasizing something because that is striking, it is appealing, it is making kind of a sense to egotistic idea, making a sense to conceit, making a sense to his or her craving, delight. And that is why talking about. Don't think that is the totality. Don't think that is the everything what the other person is telling is the truth or it is something to be believed. So you look at yourself. When and where mind is calm and quiet, when and where mind come to the less and less craving thing, you feel so boring. You feel so monotonous. You feel so lost. You will feel so uncertain. Mind is not comfortable, irritating. So therefore, go to any meditation center, talk to any meditator, each and everyone experience this boredom, they hate it. They hate it because they love craving, they love lust, they love delight. So they think that how can we attain Nibbana without facing this boredom, without facing this monotony, because they want to have Nibbana in craving, in delight, in lust. So if you take your shit and check it whether there's a gems are there or any jewels are there, no, it is shit. It is not in the shit pit. So if you are going to search a Nibbana, or at least a neutral thing or good thing, if you are searching it in the delightful areas, all the glittering things are not gold, and see how much it is distracting your mindfulness. Because you have preconceived idea, if I am mindful, I must see Nibbana. It must be glorious. So when you see breath, or if it is not seeing breath, what you expected is not there, what you delighted is not there, what you lustful was not there, so utter right from the beginning disappointment. So how much theoretical understanding you must have in order to see through it, or how much trial and error or deductive knowledge or inferential knowledge you must have, even if it is lustful, just continue. The lust is the opposite of craving. The boredom is the opposite of craving or delight or the lust. So how many thought moments, how many breaths you can just observe, even if it is boring, even if it is monotonous, even if it is uncertain, even if it is fading off, even if it is creating kind of a irritation, just observe. That means within few minutes, not very long retreats, very long life, within few minutes it is happening if you are prepared, if you go with that mindset. So that is what we call the experience in your past meditation or your past trial and error. So don't waste it, don't throw them away. Whatever the effort you have taken in meditation, nothing go in waste. In future you are using it. You know, if you expect something, if you have an appointment, end up with disappointment. Go with disappointment, you will never end up with disappointment. So therefore, yogic life is, right from the beginning, the sensuous being, they say, is full of disappointment. So therefore, many are not coming to meditation centers. They are going for places you can have an appointment rather than disappointment. So therefore, first day, I read one book in library, in the Peradeniya. It was in a display, the new coming books. It was a cyclo-style paper. It's a one single page, A4 paper, appointment with the disappointment. It has not gone to the shelf. It was there. It is a fresh translation into Sinhala. I think Huang Po or something like the Japanese Zen master, and interpretation given by Trungpa. One single A4 paper, and later I found it is very cheap, cyclo-style. I got a copy. I was reading, it was my robust young age. I am with full of appointments to have my university age, to have a good job and a good wife and a good children and good house, and it is so much of thing. And it is telling, have an appointment with a disappointment. I found that is more glorious than a wife. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. So I showed it to other people. You see, you mad, throw it away. What is this? This is about disappointment. Then I have an appointment with the disappointment. So that was the Mahayana influence for me to understand this Theravada teaching. Our Buddhism is creating so much of appointments. You will go to heaven and you will have this and that and make so much of stories. So ultimately end up with utter disappointment. You have an appointment with the disappointment, still you are very bright, robust young man. You can have it. But for that you must have radical reflection. Even in sitting, if you expect that kind of an appointment with in-breath and out-breath, appointment with rising and falling, appointment with the light, appointment with this and that, definitely disappointment. Of course, you close your eyes, no sound appointments, so smell, no taste, but you have an appointment with the air element. That is to reduce the 18 channels into one and be aware what is happening when you close your eyes. And one day you will see there are some kind of changes. If it is not there, see what is happening. That will be a starting point. So therefore, whatever come along your way, as and when it happens, if you can see, that I would define as mindfulness, rather than expecting that to happen, this after this, all these make you so much of disappointments. And when the interview reports are written and expressing, you can see how much you make a question out of answers. Meditation is so prolific. It is giving so much of information. But each and every information is a question for you. Because you expect something. That is the basic nature of the craving. Tanha. Delightful, lustful, or craving. And when and where it is happening, your neighbor or your teacher or Buddha understanding that is lust, no avail. You have to understand. As and when it arises, you have to understand, I am disappointed because I have so much of expectation. Even in sitting. And in walking meditation, not the air element, it's the earth element. The hardness touch the earth. And there you can see, and sitting, air element. So in day-to-day activities, sometimes you feel heat element, sometimes you feel the water element. When and where it is happening, you see these four elements are working as a team. But one thing becomes predominant, and whenever one thing becomes predominant, others go below the water level. So only one donkey at a time. So if you in the sitting, you specialize maybe on the element and you take a note. When the element is present, this is the configuration. When the earth element is present or prominent in sitting, this is it. In the day-to-day activities, if the element happens, you understand the language of the element. And when the earth element is prominent, you must understand the language of it. It is not English or German or nothing. The earth element is hardness, softness, heaviness, lightness, so roughness, softness. So, and the water element, fluidity, cohesiveness, and the heat and cold. So, imagine can you experience anything out of these four elements? No. So that means 24 hours you are in meditation. Not in normal mindfulness, very top grade of mindfulness. As far as you don't read element in their language, if you are going to put my head is scratching, and this is that, so that means you are putting this so much of precious Dhamma put into your body, and then you find that's a disease, and then you find a doctor, and then you find a prescription, and then you find a iatrogenic effect. Long story. Instead, when and where it is happening, if you can read it as kind of elementary characteristics, then you can understand why other person is behaving like that. But the element-wise, we are the same. The way your air element work, exactly the same for the other person. Do you think that air element consider female-male difference? Do you think that air element is considering the young person, middle-aged and old-age person? Do you think the element is concerned about the learned person and bumpkin like me? No. So you can't, because you attribute your lust, you attribute your craving, your delight, and therefore ultimately elements become such a big story. So therefore the craving as such, Tanha as such, we can't completely take it at a dance. You can cut into pieces and start wherever it is palatable, wherever you have a soft end, wherever you can have access. And then onwards, slowly, in a reductionist way, you take soft end and get into that. Ultimately it is diversifying, and you can understand the totality. So you must wait that gradual development to happen. So as an answer to this craving, if you take the Satipatthana or four foundation of mindfulness, each and every moment you are mindful and you are verily know that you are mindful, you are directly given answer to this perpetuating question of craving. But for you to get convinced about that, for you to get the belief about that, it takes a long time. How long will it take you to understand all the problems can be answered through this mindfulness? It takes a long time. To get rid of that kind of a doubting, get rid of that kind of a hesitant, the Buddha mentioned, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo. This is the one and only way for the purification of the being. Satthana visuddhya. Sukha paridhavana samatikkamaya. Sorrow and lamentation to get rid of. Dukkha domanas atthakamaya. Nyayasa adhikamaya. Nibbanasa satchakiriyaya. So today world, full of problems, individually as well as common, not a single institute, single person believe mindfulness is the answer. They think they should have something colorful, something different, because mindfulness never appear like so much of credible, so much of answering, so that is why we are suffering. The day you understand mindfulness without any kind of thing is a starting point. Once it is started, slowly is when you are expanding and the mindfulness is going to work in a specialized and diversified way, you may add loving kindness, you may add compassion, you may add this and that. But the diagnostic part, to understand the question, the grave question of tanha, you must replace it with hatred, you must replace its neutrality, mindfulness, and after long application only, you will see the craving will be answered by mindfulness. And by that time you may see all the other tools, all the other ways and means are in your tool bag. Humanity is such a tool bag. So what to use? Use the mindfulness. And when and where in the mindful, if you start with mindfulness as a beginner, you may see it is give a very good access. And later you can find You can accelerate it, you can facilitate it, you can make it efficient by using other tactics. Don't worry about that because they are coming. They are naturally coming. So give the priority or cursor-like thing when and where. Whether you start with the element, whatever the element happening, or whatever seeing happens, whatever hearing happen later, try to be mindful. Of course it is difficult, but if you can try to be mindful, then you can see the defilement arises then and there. They will never historical defilement come and work here. Defilements are happening then and there. So more and more you're mindful, you are not allowing that defilements to gather momentum, you cut them then and there. And therefore easy, of course it is appear like endless, then and there you can understand it, then it is sizable, then it's palatable, then it's chewable, and then ultimately you see mindfulness is growing with branches and flowering and all the kind of thing, not only due to mindfulness, it is gathering all the other tools we find in the Theravada. So in this retreat, what we are going to do is introduce Tanha as the basic course and introducing mindfulness as the starting point and continue. One day you yourself will find the way that Tanha is slowly tackled. Not overnight, not by one simple episode. So therefore you must be very patient. You must be very innocent. You must be very humble, because mindfulness itself is very humble. It's very innocent. Unless otherwise you support, mindfulness will never work. You have to give the full-fledged cha to the mindfulness, and mindfulness will slowly going to give the answer in time to come, slowly. So with that message I would like to sum up the day talk today, and of course we will continue tomorrow with more tools as and when mindfulness is improving. Thank you very much for listening.